Glazing Chainsaw Man is the reason his heart still beats. Chainsaw Man is ended, and I love Chainsaw Man. I would go as far to say that Chainsaw Man is genuinely one of my favorite pieces of fiction out there. Definitely up there with some of my greats, like JoJo's Pre-Time Skip, One Piece, Vinland Saga, etc. But that's not the point of today's video. So, a little context for what this video is about. We are going to be talking about the ending of Chainsaw Man, but there is something I should go over for a brief second. So, I read Chainsaw Man for the first time, I think it was back in 2023. Yeah, wait, or was it? I think it was 2023 I read Chainsaw Man for the first time. And I was completely blown away by how good it is, because when I first checked out Chainsaw Man, I thought it was kind of weird and like very sexual, because that's like the main stigma around Chainsaw Man is like the horniness. But despite all that, I actually really enjoyed it, to the point where I read like part one of Chainsaw Man in like a day. Which, by the way, Chainsaw Man Part 1, that part specifically is one of my favorite pieces of fiction ever. I love Chainsaw Man Part 1. Not saying Part 2 is bad, I just don't think Part 2 scratches that itch that Part 1 did. So, I read a bit of Part 2, and I read it for a little bit as it's coming out. I think when I got caught up on Chainsaw Man, the Falling Devil was just introduced. And kind of somewhere after that introduction arc ended, I kind of stopped reading for a bit, and I kind of picked it back up when like the big chapters came out, like the chapter with the hand, the thing that Asa and Denji did in the alleyway, and of course I had to read the chapter where Nayuta dies or is revealed to be dead, because she's lucky one of my favorite characters in Part 2. But that's not the point. Basically, I was reading on and off for Part 2 until about a few days ago, where I heard that Chainsaw Man ended. Which I was like, I wonder if there's going to be a Part 3. And, I was also thinking like, man, I should really like catch back up on Part 2 to see what I've missed out on. And, I probably would have gotten around to it eventually, but I think the big reason why I wanted to catch up to Part 2 is because I heard a rumor about the ending of Chainsaw Man that it was mid. And that's blasphemy. Chainsaw Man and mid in the same sentence? No, this can't be. So, I did what any sane person would do, and I reread Part 2 to have a complete unbiased opinion about the ending in Part 2. So, I reread Part 2, it's pretty good. I would go as far to say that Part 1 is a 9.5 out of 10. I would say Part 2 is a solid, like, 8. 8 sounds good. 7.5 to 8, yeah, pretty good. But, we're going to talk about the ending. Mainly, the last 2 chapters. So, final warning, spoiler alert for the end of Chainsaw Man. So, for a bit of context for the finale of Chainsaw Man, because, oh boy, shit got crazy fast. Because, oh boy, shit got crazy fast. So, where do I even begin? There's 2 sides. There is Asa and War, or Yoru, who wants Denji to eat the aging. Different. That was like an old plan they had. Asa. So there's one side. There's Asa and Yoru, who is the War Devil. Yoru wants Denji to eat the Death Devil, so no one on Earth will die. And then there's the other side, who is Lil D and Fammy, also known as the Death Devil and the Famine Devil. They want war to be eaten. So, like, everything would just stay normal. And there's like a big fight scene. I think like the fight is like 10 plus chapters of Yoru and Denji, also known as Chainsaw Man, just going back and forth. They go to hell for a brief second. Denji awakens. I don't know if the form has a name, so I'm just going to refer to it as True Chainsaw Man, which is the form that Chainsaw Man takes when Denji and Pochita kind of like combine their forces in the Black Chainsaw Man like form. So as the fight is coming to an end, after fighting each other and various bug devils, Denji and Yoru stop fighting because they want to get freaky with each other. And as they're getting ready to get freaky, a devil appears and eats them, or we know at the very least eats Denji, which I really like the cutaway that Denji got eat. I think it's actually just like a whole chapter transition. Like the chapter ends with the devil like running at Denji. Next chapter starts, and like he's talking with Pochita, and he's like, "Well, Denji, we gotta eat." I really like that. But as I like in this like new like thing, like Denji like wakes up in like a new like a weird dream like state where he's talking with Pochita, and Pochita informs him that we got eaten by a devil and our life is over. And Denji's like, no, that's not good. That's horrible. I was about to have sex. I could have had like hella kisses. And he says, Denji informs him that it's good that he didn't do that, which I think this is supposed to mean that like Pochita, like, I think he loves Denji. Well, I don't think it's obvious that he does. Pochita loves Denji, and he didn't want Denji to go through like the thing that is sex, not like because Pochita like wants to see Denji suffer, just because Denji throughout his whole run in Chainsaw Man got used by women, and I think Pochita could have seen this as Denji getting used by Yoru, and probably would have got turned into a weapon when they were freaking anyway. But as they continue talking, Pochita's like, you know, Denji, you might have realized this, but you were unhappy, like, despite everything, even when you connected with Asa. And he informs him that Denji has a very crappy kind of brain, but it's also really good, as in he can only find heaven when he's in hell. And then there's this really nice full-page panel where Pochita and Denji hug. I really like that like panel, and kind of like out of nowhere for Denji, Pochita starts to chainsaw himself, like cuts himself open and pulls out his heart, and he informs Denji that he is going to eat himself, which is going to remove him from existence, which will create a world without Chainsaw Man. And in a world without Pochita, maybe Denji can keep dreaming. And since Pochita met Denji, he's seen all the dreams he wants to see. And his last words to Denji is to keep on dreaming. And then we cut to the final chapter, Chainsaw Man. Chapter 232, Thank You, Chainsaw Man. Which we see an alternate reality sort of thing, where Denji has never met Pochita because the Chainsaw Devil doesn't exist. Denji wakes up like he had a good dream, but also a bad dream. And then he talks about things he'd like to experience, like eating with a girl, playing games, and how he wants a dog. One day, the story kind of goes similar, where he goes to the warehouse and gets attacked by a bunch of devils, but instead of becoming Chainsaw Man, he meets the Blood Fiend. The Blood Fiend swoops in and saves him. The Blood Fiend being Power in this alternate universe. I'm gonna keep referring it to an alternate universe, but I have a theory about this. But Power spares Denji because he smells like a dog, and that she likes dogs, and she gives him a contract. Basically, Power gives him, like, the contract's, like, stuff is, like, she'll heal him if, like, he submits to her. And then suddenly, the Control Devil shows up, which she says, like, they can be useful, and from today on, they belong to her. And, they introduce themselves, and then all of a sudden it's revealed to be Nayuta, who is the control devil in this alt universe. Then we hard cut to Denji and Power, a part of the public safety, people. And Nayuta gives them a job to go fight a devil by a school because she doesn't want to because she's busy playing a game. I would also like to mention that Meowie is in this panel on Nayuta's shoulders. I really like that. Even Power complains about it in the next few panels where she says Meowie shouldn't love anyone but her, which is, man, Power core. And so Power and Denji arrive at the school, and one thing I do like is how they work together. Power uses her blood abilities to make blood weapons for Denji, and specifically in this fight, she makes Denji a blood chainsaw, and they kill the devil pretty easily. And off in the distance, Denji sees a classroom playing with a devil. Chicken devil. And this is the same chicken devil at the start of part 2 that Asa accidentally kills by falling on it. And things were playing out as it was going. But as Asa, almost called her Asa, as Asa is about to fall and crush the chicken devil as she did in part 2, or at the start of part 2, Denji catches her and clinches her and pulls her away so she doesn't fall, therefore sparing the chicken devil. And Asa, I almost called her Asa again. Asa says thank you, Chainsaw Man. And the next panel is Denji gasping, and his heart is Pochita. And he's even confused of Chainsaw Man, what do you mean? And she called him that because he was just fighting with a chainsaw. And the two say goodbye, and Denji and Power go off while, also she starts to play soccer with her class, which is what she was originally going to do at the start of part 2. And that ends, and the story ends with Denji and Power going to get some food, talking about all these foods, and Denji says, I'm broke, let's go shake down some seniors. And that is it for Chainsaw Man. Yay! So what does this ending mean? So before I get on to my interpretation of the ending of Chainsaw Man, I would like to give a look at the theory that the devil that ate Denji was the Nightmare Devil, and everything that appears or happens in chapter 232 is a dream. So looking at the actual theory, there is a lot of dream talk in chapters 231, where basically every time Pochita speaks, or almost every other time he speaks, he says the word dream. And the devil that kills Denji his head is like a crescent moon, which the crescent moon is often used as a symbol for sleeping or dreaming, however you want to look at it. And, I guess it depends on how you look at it. This could very much be a theory, and that we are going to get Chainsaw from part 3 sometime soon, but I doubt it, because I think if we were going to get Chainsaw Man part 3, I think chapter 232 would have ended with a to be continued in part 3 instead of the end. Another thing I've seen people theorize is that Chainsaw Man can continue, but will go the JoJo's route, as with JoJo's part 7, we start to focus on a new universe. And I've seen that's what people want with Chainsaw Man, is to see Chainsaw Man in a new universe. For example, this new reality where Denji is a part of the public safety with Power, and they fight devils together using her blood abilities. Which, I'd be down for that, Fujimoto, if you're watching this, but I think it's time I talk about what I think about the Chainsaw Man ending. So, what I'm about to say, it's going to be a bit of a reach, but the Chainsaw Devil has always had this feeling where he's much stronger than he should be, as devils are powered by fear, and you don't really hear people talking about their fear of chainsaws compared to war, famine, plague, stuff like that. which is kind of weird because the Chainsaw Man is on par, if not stronger, than some of the devils, like the top tier devils in the verse, like bug devils. Like people are terrified of bugs, but Chainsaw Man still beats them. And it's revealed in part 2 that Chainsaw Man has the ability to remove things from existence, which, something, but is it too crazy to believe that somehow Pochita can, like, make some sort of, like, new reality sort of thing? Which I think is what Pochita does. I think Pochita sacrifices himself so that Denji can keep on dreaming the best life he possibly can, because Pochita himself says Denji is the kind of person who can only find heaven when he's in hell, which, sure, everybody has like their own way of living, I guess. So Pochita kind of makes a new reality where Denji is, he's in heaven, but at the same time, mentally he's in heaven, but physically he's in hell. He's back to being poor and alone. He doesn't even have Pochita here with him this time. Then his life slowly starts to get better upon meeting Power, which allows him to meet Nayuta, which later allows him to go meet Asa. And his life slowly gets better, and I think the little panel that we see where Denji's heart is Pochita, I kind of think that signifies that Pochita is playing like a role in this somehow. I'm not saying it is completely his doing, but I do think what I said about Pochita maybe making, like, altering, like, reality to an extent is this. So, it probably sounds stupid, but that's my little theory, is that Pochita either altered reality or made a new reality, like, perfect for Denji. But, I mean, there's a lot of interpretations. I mean, I think everyone is gonna try to have one. I'm the kind of guy where when I, like, read or watch stuff like this, I like to try to formulate my own ending instead of, like, looking up a YouTube video and basing my thoughts off that. So, I mean, it may be stupid, but it is my own personal opinion. So, let me know down in the comments what you guys think of the Chainsaw Man ending. And if you have any, like, interpretations yourself, feel free to say so in the comments and what you overall think of the ending. Because I can't lie. I like this ending. I thought this was a really good ending, and I don't see why people were thinking that this was mid. I think people don't like this ending because it's not a good one for Denji, nor is it horrible, as in something like the everyone dies ending, which for some reason over the years I've noticed that, like, people were kind of drawn toward bad endings, which I'm not going to go too depth into that. Maybe that could be like a video one day, but it's not a good ending. It's not a bad ending. It's just a ending. Denji isn't a better person. He's not a worse person. He's not living a good life. He's not living a bad life. He's living as Denji, which is what he's wanted throughout the whole series. He wanted a normal life, and this is probably the closest thing to normal Denji will ever get. Because he's not Chainsaw Man, he is normal. And from what we've seen in chapter 232, he doesn't have any devil abilities, he simply just works with Power. And she makes him blood weapons, which is pretty neat, and it's like own thing. So yes, I do like Chainsaw Man's ending. Do I think it's bad? No. Do I think it's mid? No. Do I think it's good? I like it. And yeah, I think everybody is, like, entitled to their own opinions. I think, from what I've seen, I think I'm kind of in the minority where everyone is, like, hating on this ending. But I think the hate isn't worth it, or, like, granted. I don't know what the word I'm looking for is, but I don't think the hate is deserved. So yeah, I think I'll just leave it at that. If you like this video, like, comment, subscribe. Comment down below what you guys think of Chainsaw Man, and I will see you all in the next one.